What's up, iPad letterers? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this watercolor happy birthday card. The nice thing about this card is that it is very easy to paint and it'll only take 5 minutes. So let's get started. The brush and the template that I'm using for this video, they are both from my watercolor extension set. But it doesn't mean that you have to use the brush and the template here. You can also use one of the standard Procreate brushes, especially if you have a look in the artistic section of your brushes panel. You'll find that there's some really cool brushes in there as well. And probably my favorite out of the whole selection is the Quoll brush, so definitely try that out before you think you have to buy anything to recreate this. But if you're curious, there is a video where I'm showing all the brushes that are in the watercolor extension brush set, and I will link to that in the description of this video. The brush I personally like to use for these types of paintings is the canvas paintbrush, and one of the reasons why I really love this brush is because it creates a beautiful texture and it's also pressure sensitive. So that means when you press harder down on your iPad, it adds more color to the page, and then if you press lighter, it creates a really nice soft color. So this is super nice, and it's just so much fun to paint with this. And also another thing I really like about this brush is that it smudges and it blends the colors right on the canvas on the same layer without having to change to your smudging tool. So you can just change the colors and then keep painting and blend the colors right on the same layer, which is super cool to play with and just to see what you can achieve. Now, as you see, I'm just adding color randomly to the page, just whatever pops into my head. And of course, I'm doing this really quickly here, but feel free to spend as much time on this as you want. If you're not happy with your blend or the color combination, add a new layer and try again and see what else you can come up with. You'll see that I'm leaving a little bit of a gap between the colors, and I'm doing that so that I can write some text in there. That's where the happy birthday wishes go. Now, when you try and do this yourself, I really recommend that you try and create darker parts and lighter parts to add quite a bit of contrast to your painting, because it makes it look a lot more interesting. So now let's turn on our guidelines, which are part of the template, to make it a little bit easier to write straight letters. And to write this, I've chosen that fountain pen brush, which is part of that Real Brushes set. And this is probably still my all-time favorite lettering brush I've ever made. This is really cool because it emulates a fountain pen. And you'll see it at the end when I'm gonna zoom in, and you can see the detail, how nicely it emulates ink on paper. And also this actually prints really nicely as well. So this really looks as if it had been written with ink on watercolor paper. And then also make sure that you write both words on the separate layers, because it'll make it much easier later to rearrange the words in case you're not quite happy with the placement when you first write them. And then once you're finished writing your letters, you might notice that the letters are not quite as straight as you would like them to be, but luckily we have the warp tool. So now what we can do is adjust them ever so slightly. So you see that you can adjust the angle and also a little bit of the spacing of your individual letters. And then let's select the whole layer and also rearrange the words on the page a little bit better. And then group both layers together, so now we can move the whole happy birthday in its right place. And now we're finished. So you can see this really was very quick. And let's also zoom in so we can see the beautiful texture that the fountain pen brush creates. And there you have it. This is the happy birthday card. It's so easy to create, and I'm really curious to hear what you think. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell button to be notified next time I post one of these tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.